Amazons, yes, the warrior women, are coming as reinforcements, and the village is holding out till they arrive. And that's when all the hell breaks loose. They get ended up chased by hundreds of warriors on canoes. And they shoot a freaking sorcerer who was putting a curse on them with ashes in his mouth and painted face. I mean, black magic, why not? Here's a story that gets pretty wild and in more ways than one. So, for 500 years, historians looked at one man's incredible story of his journey through the Amazon and basically called it total BS. They called him a liar and a fraud, but now, well, 5 centuries later, some damning new evidence has turned up, and it looks like they owe him the mother of all apologies. That man is Francisco de Orellana, a Spanish explorer that lived in the 16th century, and by a combination of total accident and sheer will, he became the first European to discover and successfully navigate the entire Amazon River. And by successfully navigate, I mean making it out alive. By the way, make no mistake, it was an epic journey from the Andes Mountains all the way to the Atlantic, with no maps, no knowledge of what was ahead for 4,000 miles, and that alone was freaking insane. And nobody's questioning that, but he gets full credit and recognition for finding and navigating the Amazon. But here's the part that got controversial and what got cancelled by historians for 5 centuries straight. You know how they say it's about the journey and not the destination? Well, his expedition made some pretty wild claims about the said journey and what they saw out there that did not add up. The Orellana expedition claims that they encountered cities in the Amazon jungle. He went on and on about seeing urban populations in the tens of thousands. Multi-story stone buildings, plazas, temples, organized streets, royal highways, bustling marketplaces, you name it. Bro said it. In other words, Orellana was describing a civilization on par with the most sophisticated European cities of that era. The problem? Well, it was a little hard to swallow, and not a lot of people believed him. They said he was making it all up, or at the very least that he was greatly exaggerating the things he saw. And later expeditions that went into the Amazon and poked around came to the same conclusion that Orellana's story was fake news, because they found no such cities in that jungle, like maybe some scattered tribes and small villages now and then, but that was it. The case was so closed, or so everyone thought. Fast forwarding to the present day, in the last few years, 2 big things happened in Amazon archaeology that completely changed the game. First, scientists started flying over the Amazon with LiDAR. It's actually kind of a laser scanning that can map the ground right through the thick jungle canopy. Basically, it's pretty much a real-world wall hack. Secondly, large-scale farming projects started clear-cutting the absolute shit out of the rainforest. Not great for the planet, but turns out to be rather amazing for archaeology, apparently. Because suddenly, researchers began spotting crap they never knew existed, hidden right under their noses. Vast road networks, huge earthworks, geometric patterns, and ancient city layouts that had been hidden there for centuries. And it all looked suspiciously like puzzle pieces that matched a certain somebody's story from all those hundreds of years ago. The story that led Orellana into legend began when Gonzalo Pizarro launched an expedition to find El Dorado, the mythical city of gold. By the way, I made a whole video about it like years ago. I'm gonna leave a link in the description if you want to watch it. Okay, cool. Anyways, back to the story. Orellana was the lieutenant under Gonzalo Pizarro of this expedition, and one thing led to another, and it all went sideways. They got lost, attacked by hostile natives, they starved, and things got bad. Like how bad? I hear you ask. Well, they ended up eating the horses and then the dogs.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in.
You know, your trip is fucked when you literally start eating the transportation and the hunting equipment, which made Orellana, like a true champ, volunteer to take a search party downstream on a small ship they had to to find food.
I think we all know where this is going, so let's just skip to the end.
But keeping up with the theme of this whole expedition, things didn't go as planned. The scouting party never reconnected with Pizarro's group. Instead, they found themselves getting pushed deeper and deeper into the unknown, drifting endlessly downriver without any idea how far it stretched or whether it would ever end. In this expedition group was Gaspar de Carvajal, a Dominican friar who later wrote the most detailed account of the journey, with a name so long it could very well be an isekai anime title, I kid you not.
Account of the recent discovery of the famous Grand River, which was discovered by great good fortune by Captain Francisco de Orellana.
For weeks they drift on that boat, starving and slowly losing their minds. And Carvajal writes that some men imagine hearing drums on New Year's Day, but there's nothing there. Their brains were playing tricks on them, the poor bastards. They feared they'll die. We're gonna die! They ate anything they could find, turtles, fish, and many fall sick, and the morale drops lower than my subscriber count. And Orellana made the only possible decision, which was to keep pushing forward. He figures that the Napo, the river they're on now, must be a tributary of a much larger one another expedition had tried to explore from the east coast of the continent years earlier. Again, that expedition too was a total disaster. Barely any survivors, yada yada yada, you know the drill, not that important. What's important is that luckily for our guys, after weeks of suffering, they finally stumbled onto a couple of friendly native villages. And the villagers feed them, shelter them, and introduce Orellana to other local overlords who give him information about much bigger and gold-rich kingdoms inland. And it's a good time all around. Orellana and the Spaniards, in turn, treat the villagers very diplomatically, basically a complete 180 over how they used to do things under Pizarro's command. Like they learn their native language, show respect, give gifts, try not to kill anybody, which they don't, and try not to grab any gold, which they see, again, don't. Good for them. They're basically model guests. They even built a second boat, the Victoria, so they can continue on with their journey. The Spanish continue freeloading off the friendly natives for about a month, and then the food supply slows down, and they get the subtle hint that maybe it's time to leave. Before they depart, on April 24, 1542, the friendly leader, Pariah the Greater, warns them of dangers ahead. The first 200 miles of their journey was smooth. Natives provided food and everything seemed fine. And then they entered this barren stretch with no villages or people.
One eternity later.
By mid-May, they reached the kingdom of Machu Picchu and his lovely neighbor, Omaga. And that's when all the hell breaks loose. Because both tribes are exactly as the friendly natives warned. They're warlike. I mean, the Spanish are attacked on sight like no mercy, and it's total chaos from here on out. In one big battle, one Spaniard is killed and 18 gets wounded, and they ended up chased by hundreds of warriors on canoes. And at one point, they shoot a freaking sorcerer who was putting a curse on them with ashes in his mouth and painted his face. I mean, black magic, why not? And right about here, according to this story, they start encountering huge settlements and cities along the riverbed. If Carvajal's account is accurate, the population in the interiors has to be massive. He describes settlement after settlement, some reaching for miles. One of them was 6 miles long, packed with people, but they can't go ashore. The constant attacks keep them on the 2 boats on the river. Sure, they finally find a small enough settlement which they could capture, and they did, and inside they discover porcelain and art which they described rivals that of ancient Rome. It was that good. They're amazed by the natives' achievements and how advanced they were. But one discovery in the village absolutely terrifies Orellana. And it's probably not what you think. He saw roads. Ooh, roads. massive roads built to move huge numbers of people, and he recognized the scale and the threat of what he was seeing. I mean, they've seen tens of thousands of people on the riverbanks. Huge roads meant even more people inland and bigger armies. Orellana rightly decides not to f around and find out. Ordered his men right back into the boats and traveled by night, staying in the center of the river to avoid attacks. And they traveled some more, and the next region was less warlike. Over 4 days, they passed about 20 more settlements. All of them were incredibly populated. And after a while, they land on another small settlement. But seeing more of those massive roads convinced Orellana to leave.
A little while later,
The dude snapped at one point. I mean, it's pretty understandable because they were under a lot of pressure. Because pretty soon the expedition's tone grew way darker. Because the once diplomatic Orellana became like harsher, even burning villages to the ground after clashes. In mid-June, the Spanish captured a native girl. And that's when their next big surprise came along. Because when Orellana tried to translate what she was trying to say, to their surprise, she recognizes them, get this, as Christians. The Spanish were shocked that she's met Christians before. They figure it's very likely that these were survivors from that earlier expedition from the East Coast from years earlier. Do I hear a rescue mission? Nomad is left behind! Actually, no. Orellana decides not to go after them inland and just continue on with their journey. On June 22nd, the Spaniards enter what they later named the land of the Amazons. They have heard rumors of warrior women since before they reached the Napo. And it doesn't take long till they get hit with more attacks, arrows mostly, and 5 Spaniards are wounded, including our friend Carvajal. Then the Spanish land at a village to fight for food. But there's a difference. Unlike before, this time, for some reason, the resistance by the village is fierce, which they later find out why. Because according to a captured trumpeter, the Amazons, yes, the warrior women, are coming as reinforcements, and the village is holding out till they arrive. The Spanish questioned the trumpeter, and this is what he has to say about the Amazons. He says that they live 7 days inland in stone houses, that they have several villages, and all the nearby natives pay them tribute to use the roads. He says only women live in the villages. The men leave at night. To have offspring, they capture men from other villages and force the men out after conception, and the boys are either killed or given back to their fathers. The girls are kept and trained as warriors. Yeah, it's like some peak feminism dream. Anyways, eventually the Amazons arrive, and the battle really hits the fan. But after killing 7 or 8 Amazons, the natives actually start to retreat. And the Spaniards never see the Amazons again, but it's the most famous and the most scrutinized part of Carvajal's account. The trumpeter also warns them that the next region is inhabited by cannibals, and that their arrows are tipped with poison, just for funsies. And along the way, just like the trumpeter warned them, 2 men die a painful death from the said poisoned arrows. In late August, they finally left the mouth of the Amazon and sailed for 2 weeks before finding the safe harbor on the island of Cabagua. They landed on September 9th, 1542, and from there, they went home. Back in Spain, Orellana's claims are met with harsh skepticism, like critics accuse him of fabricating stories for fame. Yet, Orellana believed so strongly in what he had seen that in 1546, he tried to go back. But the second expedition was a complete disaster, like as if the first one was such a success. He faced storms, navigational difficulties, and crew got sick, and finally, Orellana himself ended up dying during the voyage. Some 100 years later, more explorers finally came to the Amazon and found only thick jungle and maybe, like I said before, a scattered village or two. So naturally, they assumed Orellana had made up his story. Even through 19th and 20th centuries, scholars reinforced the image of Amazon as a wilderness incapable of sustaining large populations, because hunting and gathering was not going to cut it to sustain huge cities. It required large-scale farming and agriculture, and rainforest soil suck because everything gets washed away pretty quick. So, for centuries, Orlena's vivid descriptions of bustling cities in the Amazon were debunked and dismissed. But then, 21st century rolled in with its technologia and good old-fashioned capitalism. LiDAR scans revealed settlements spanning almost 1,000 square miles, featuring 20-meter pyramids, reservoirs, and causeways. Ancient city networks emerged with roads and plazas and neighborhoods built as early as 500 BC, housing at least 10,000 people. The satellite surveys uncovered up to 1,500 fortified villages, suggesting a population up to 1 million in just one region alone. More broadly, the Amazon-wide estimates now range from 5 million to 8 million at its pre-Columbian peak. And then they find Terra Petra, black earth. You know how I said that rainforest soils suck and they couldn't do any large-scale farming? Well, Terra Petra, or black earth, is an artificial supersoil made by mixing charcoal, compost, and broken pottery. And this stuff shows up everywhere on the Amazon. And it doesn't wash away like normal dirt. And what's more amazing is that modern scientific tests have proven that it's still fertile 500 years later. This means that people were deliberately engineering farmland to feed the population over there. Suddenly, those impossible millions of people does not seem so impossible. So how did such a thriving civilization vanish? Like, where did they all go? Well, from what we understand now, when the first wave of European explorers came in contact with the New World, they unknowingly carried with them something far more dangerous and deadly than guns: germs, pathogens, and diseases from the Old World. Diseases the indigenous population had never seen before, which their bodies had no immunity to. No medicines, no cures. While the rest of the world was going about their lives, the vast civilization in the Amazon was experiencing an apocalyptic event. Plagues swept through the lands which their best doctors and priests were powerless against. People were getting sick and dying by the tens of thousands. Their entire civilization collapsed, leaving only a few survivors to scatter into isolation. And whatever was left of the cities was slowly swallowed up by the jungle, leaving nothing to find for explorers that came after. But at least one man saw a glimpse of it all and just happened to arrive in that tiny window before it all disappeared forever. Until next time, be well and be safe.